MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 253 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, November 26th, 2025, day before Thanksgiving. I'm Allison Gill.
I can taste the turkey already. I love turkey. Oh my gosh.
I'm already tired.
From the food, for all the food I'm going to consume. I already need my nap already. What's up, y'all? It's Harry Dunn here. All right, we got a lot to cover today, including Attorney General Kris Mayes asking the Arizona State Supreme Court to revive her charges against the 2020 fraudulent electors and the case of a part of January 6 rioter, again, bribing a child sex victim with the promise of a January 6 payout. Revolting. Revolting.
Only the best. Only the best. We also have a few high-profile people leaving the Trump administration, aside from Marjorie Taylor Greene, including the envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, because of what's going on with that quote-unquote peace plan. I don't know why they call it a peace plan.
Yeah, it's not far from it.
It's not. It's the same one that the Kremlin pushed through Kalimnik to Manafort in 2016. So it's the same. Give up half of the country, the oil-rich part, and put, somebody from Russia in charge of it. And also the FEMA chief, David Richardson, because of his terrible performance with the deadly Texas floods that happened. Plus, we have an update on the wild Hunter Biden case against Overstock.com CEO, the former guy, and inimitable weirdo, Patrick Byrne, the guy who still owns a plantation. Just an unbelievable fellow. But first, we have some new patrons to thank. Our new patrons are Julie McDonald and Travis. Thank you for signing up. And then our Hall of Fame patrons, Sharon Tukalski, Clover's Tree 73. Put your money where your mouth is. I hope that's to people who they want to sign up to be patrons.
Yes, I like that.
And not me. Greg Krimer, Ren Special K Kaido, law offices of redacted, Epstein, and redacted hugely criminal attorneys, Patty B., Accidental Bird Sanctuary founder, Deborah Kirby, and of course, Tiffany Trump was adopted.
Yeah.
If it weren't for this particular patron, I would probably have already forgotten who Tiffany Trump was.
Exactly. I forgot that she even exists. So.
But we're reminded on a monthly basis because we shout out our Hall of Fame patrons on a monthly basis. So you were at the Remove the Regime rally this weekend. How'd that go?
Yeah, man, AG, it was so good. It was so, man, I don't even have the words. It was so good. It was very well attended. A lot of people were there fired up. And there was a lot of really good energy at the rally. And shout out to our friend Cliff Cash, who gave Clean Up on Aisle 45 a huge shout out right before I went on. And I'm sure there were lots of members, our patrons, or even just regular listeners that were there because it got a loud reception when Cliff shouted it out right before I went on to speak. So, but it was just really good. Remove the Regime was all about impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump from office, which a lot of people were saying we shouldn't wait until we have the House in 2026 to do it. Let's do it now. And at that rally, Congressman Al Green promised that he will file articles of impeachment against Donald Trump before Christmas. So that is something to look forward to.
And all these reps leaving, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then Punchbowl News reported today that there are several others who want to resign early. I'm like, impeach first, then resign. Impeach.
Exactly. That's the FU on your way out the door.
Yeah.
Vote and then say I'm done. Let's do it. Because if you remember, when after January 6th, when Donald Trump was impeached, 13 members, I believe it was 13 Republicans. And every single one of them is no longer in Congress anymore. So if you're on your way out, no better way to do it than a vote to impeach Donald.
And I'm wondering, with this news from Punchbowl, because apparently it was a top House Republican that was like, there are more explosive resignations coming, spoke on the condition of anonymity. We'll see, like, where you been? And the impeachment, I mean, there's 10,000 things you could impeach him for. But, top of mind right now is this threat to execute members of Congress and former intelligence community members for simply stating things that are in the Constitution.
Isn't it wild, though, that as you were just saying that up, why they could impeach him, I was thinking of a different thing, because there's so many different things that what we can impeach this guy on. I was going to go to them blowing up Venezuelan boats and, or down in the wherever they're doing that.
Murder.
Yeah, murdering people. Just
in the Caribbean.
Yeah. So it's just so funny. Just not funny, really, but a number of different things he can be impeached for. But like you just said, threatening to execute or execute members of Congress, call it sedition, which is crazy because on January 20th, he pardoned some people found guilty of seditious conspiracy. So sedition's only cool when it's in favor of him, right?
Yeah. And those pardoned criminals have a much higher recidivism rate than, the 90% plus people who don't have criminal records that are being held in custody in the mass deportation effort. So I'm very glad that so many people turned out to the Remove the Regime rally. And we also had some news today. Like, the news started when I woke up and didn't stop today, particularly with the dismissals of the indictments against Letitia James, New York Attorney General, and Jim Comey, former FBI director, for the unlawful appointment of Lindsay Halligan. And I've written this up over on Substack. One of my favorite parts is that the judge who dismissed the cases quotes the Trump case, where Judge Cannon dismissed the charges against Donald Trump after determining Jack Smith was unlawfully
appointed. Yeah.
Now, he wasn't, and the judge here didn't get into that, but she's like, the point is that you think this Department of Justice agrees they have to, because you did this before, that if an officer of the Department of Justice is found to be appointed unlawfully, you got to dismiss the charges. That's the remedy.
Period.
That's the remedy. So I've got a couple of things. Like I said, I wrote it up, and you can read it over at MuellerSheWrote.com. I also did an interview with Adam Klasfeld about it. So you can check all of that out. There's a lot of details. They dismissed without prejudice instead of with, and there's some implications to that, but that is precedent. So head over to MuellerSheWrote.com and get all that information that you might need, including whether or not the judge will rule on the other motions to dismiss, the other defects with these cases. I don't think they will, but like any good lawyer would say, it all depends. So me not being a good lawyer, I've learned to say it depends from other lawyers. So today, though, we have a lot to cover, as we said up at the top of the show. And again, I can't stress enough the recidivism rate of these pardoned January 6th criminals. Oh my gosh.
Every week. I was going to say every other week. Every week, every other day is something else with these people. And you know what? Actually, when I was back down at the rally, I was talking to just a passerby or another protester, and they were thanking me for, still keeping January 6th in the news and not let people forget. And honestly, that hasn't been my goal. I haven't been out there pushing to, hey, don't forget January 6th. Now, obviously, I feel like we shouldn't, but I have to go out there like other people and debunk these claims and respond to stuff that they are saying about January 6th, or that they are attempting to continue to whitewash and have very revisionist history when it comes to it. So it's them that can't stay out of the news. And they're keeping me relevant. So I appreciate it. But, you know?
No, my dear, you keep you relevant.
Well,
You just talked to
no,
Fred Gutenberg on Pores and Perspectives.
I did. So yeah, that's another episode coming out. I think it will be out as tomorrow, as you're listening to this today on Wednesday. Will be out. I interviewed and had my friend Fred Gutenberg. If you all, the name sounds familiar to you, Fred had become a staunch advocate for gun safety and gun violence after his daughter, beautiful Jamie, was murdered at the Parkland shooting. And he suffered, obviously, a great loss there, but continues to suffer rhetoric from people who called Parkland shooting survivors crisis actors a la Marjorie Taylor Greene. So he had a lot to say about her recent coming to Jesus moment. So check that out when you get a chance. Pores and Perspectives over on Substack.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene's retribution or rehabilitation tour and her early resignation from Congress. All right, we got a bunch to get to, but we're going to take a quick break. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, let's get into these stories. All right, our first story comes from our friend, Kyle Cheney. Kyle does great work. And
I love Kyle.
He is so steadfast and just does great work. Follow Kyle Cheney over at Politico. Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes is preparing to ask the state Supreme Court to revive her criminal case against a long list of Donald Trump's top allies in his bid to subvert the 2020 election. Mayes' case has been on hold for months after the trial judge ruled the indictment she obtained was flawed because grand jurors were not shown the precise text of the law the defendants had allegedly broken.
Oh, so she didn't lie to the grand jury or tell them opposite things that the Constitution says or fail to present the actual indictment.
Who does that, AG?
No one does that. Nobody does. That would be crazy. Quote, we remain squarely focused on ensuring the defendants are held accountable because there's nothing more important than enforcing the rule of law. That's what she said in a statement announcing her decision. An appeals court upheld that order, and Mayes has until Friday to ask the state's high court consider seeking a new indictment or dropping the case altogether. Mayes' bid to resuscitate the long-stalled case ensures it will be a live issue for months, including as she seeks re-election in 2026. So this not only helps her politically, it helps Democrats politically, but also she really wants to follow the rule of law. So we'll see what the state Supreme Court says. I'm interested.
Well, yeah, because they broke the law. The indictment described Trump himself as the unindicted mastermind of a plot to subvert the 2020 election. No surprise there. Pressuring state officials to overturn Joe Biden's victory in the state, enlisting allies to sign false paperwork claiming to be legitimate presidential electors and using their signatures to pressure then Vice President Mike Pence to use his unique role in the process to stop Biden's victory.
Yep, we all know the story. Tale as old as time, right? Now, among those facing charges are former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, attorneys Rudy and John Eastman, Boris Epshteyn, and Christina Bobb, and a group of 11 fake electors, including former state GOP chairwoman Kelly Ward. One of those electors who signed the false electoral college paperwork has already pled guilty for her role. The grand jury that indicted Trump's allies initially considered indicting Trump himself, but was told that not to by prosecutors. But the unusually aggressive grand jury delved deeply into the allegations against Trump and his inner circle ahead of its indictment.
Ooh, state charges, y'all, state charges. The case's original judge, Bruce Cohen, recused last year after the defendants discovered he emailed colleagues on the court urging them to reject attacks against Kamala Harris rooted in race and gender. Crazy that you got to recuse yourself.
I know.
To say,
hey don't
guys,
be racist.
Listen,
you can't be fair.
Don't be sexist or racist. Oh, let me recuse myself because you can't say those things. His successor, Sam Myers, threw out the case in May, saying prosecutors failed to show grand jurors the text of the Electoral Count Act, the law that governs the presidential transfer of power. Somebody needs to show that to Donald Trump.
Which would really only strengthen the case. But
exactly.
Okay. And I think if the Supreme Court says no here, she'll go back and do it again and show them the Electoral Count Act. Now, this is the third time in recent days that local courts or prosecutors breathe new life into criminal cases stemming from the 2020 election effort. Nevada. I've been corrected on that multiple times.
Me
Nevada,
too. They don't play about that.
No, they do not play. Nevada Supreme. Just don't call where I live Cali, and we'll be good to go. But Nevada Supreme Court earlier this month revived a case against their 6 Republican fake electors that had been stalled over questions about proper venue. But that's back to life now. And in Georgia, as we know, a supervisory prosecutor, Mr. Skandalakis, agreed to take over a criminal case in which Trump himself is a defendant after the previous lead prosecutor, Fani Willis, was disqualified over a conflict of interest. So we will keep an eye on all of these state fraudulent elector cases for you here.
Yeah, you just said something important. State cases. There's
no
Rudy
pardon. And Epstein and Eastman. Your pardon doesn't count here.
Does not count. So we should all be rooting for Arizona Attorney General Mayes. Let's be rooting for her. Go get him, girl. All right. And another story. And this is from Ryan Riley. Ryan's a good buddy of mine. Riley and I actually, we share the same birthday, September 25th. Yep. A man pardoned by President. Oh, by the way, let me back up real quick. And also who shares that birthday is the great Mark Hamill. We share the same birthday too. So just had to throw that out.
Stephanie Miller.
And Stephanie. Yeah, man, this is a great day for, and also I think Lil Wayne too. So yeah. Random conglomerate of people. A man pardoned by President Donald Trump for storming the Capitol was arrested on child molestation charges, according to Florida officials, who said he tried to use an anticipated January 6th payout to silence the victim.
Yeah, this is new information. Andrew Paul Johnson, 44, was arrested in Tennessee in August and extradited to Florida on charges of lewd and lascivious molestation, lewd and lascivious exhibition, and transmission of material harmful to a minor. His attorney did not respond to a request for comment, probably for the best. Johnson was among 1,500 people or so that Trump pardoned in connection with January 6th riot at the Capitol. The Hernando County Sheriff's Office began investigating him in July after it received a call about 2 juveniles who had allegedly fallen victim, quote, to lewd and lascivious acts over a many-month span, according to an arrest affidavit.
Deputies spoke to the victim's mother, who said she was going through her son's messages on Discord and found an inappropriate conversation involving Johnson, the affidavit said. She asked her son about the messages and asked whether Johnson had ever said or done anything inappropriate, it says. The child said Johnson molested him 3 times from April to October in 2024, beginning when he was 11 years old. This is according to the affidavit.
The child said he confronted Johnson, who apologized and told the child not to tell anyone since he would get in trouble. Johnson mailed the child an iPhone and told him to keep it a secret. Now, the sheriff's office said in the affidavit that Discord messages showed Johnson sneaking into the child's home to take him food and hang out with him. He also told the child, quote, since he was pardoned from storming the Capitol, he was being awarded $10 million. As a result of being a January 6th there, and that he would be putting him in his will to take any money he had left over.
This is unbelievable. The tactic was believed to be used to keep the victim from exposing what Andrew had done to him. Trump has discussed the possibility of compensating January 6 rioters, but no one has received any payments. In May, the administration reached a settlement of just under $5 million with Ashley Babbitt's family. An officer fatally shot her, as we all know, during the riot as she tried to climb through the speaker's lobby of a broken barricaded door.
Yeah. Court documents from the case said that this guy, Johnson, who referred to himself as an American terrorist and a proud January 6er, engaged in disorderly and disruptive conduct for more than 4 hours. The document said after he breached the Capitol, he encouraged other rioters to follow and yelled, "We haven't accomplished anything here. This door is still closed. We haven't accomplished anything yet. We need to go through that fucking door. We're not done yet. We're not just breaking and entering."
Only the best people. He also spread theories about the riot and called for another attack. According to the documents, he pleaded guilty on April 2024, and of course was pardoned. Johnson is due back in court December 10th on the child molestation charges. Now, AG, how much do you want to bet that he is going to say his pardon covers this?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting since First of all, the other child molestation thing was not on the table for the pardon to cover it.
Yeah.
Even, but some of the other January 6th pardonees did actually get some of their unrelated crimes dismissed. But this came from just a mother looking through her son's Discord messages. These messages weren't found because of the January 6th thing. And in fact, it's going to be impossible to even say that because of the timing, and that he said he's already been pardoned and he was going to get a $10 million payout, and he would leave it in his will to this boy if he kept his mouth shut.
That's crazy.
About what he did to him.
That's crazy.
And it makes me wonder how many others there were, because if something works once,
why not do it again? But it's crazy. He was sneaking into the child's home and bringing him food and hanging out with the kid.
11-year-old.
In their house?
Yeah.
Can you imagine, coming home, the father or the mother? My mind is doing mental gymnastics right now because I can only imagine the restraint or lack of that I would show to catch anybody in my damn house. So.
Right. Especially with, molesting and then trying to say you're going to get a $10 million settlement from Donald Trump and you'll leave it to the kid if he, oh man.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to that family.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
Right. We have more to get to. Particularly, we're going to talk about some folks who are leaving. We used to have a whole, back in the early 2021 days, we would have a whole comings and goings situation where the former co-host and I would talk about all the people leaving the Trump administration or leaving the new Biden administration and who's coming on board as part of the cleanup on aisle 45. It was kind of one of the central things that we did. We've got a couple of those, but we're going to take a quick break right now. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. All right. Like I said, we have some high-profile people leaving the Trump administration to tell you about. This is from the Associated Press. Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, has informed the White House he's going to be leaving his post in January, according to two senior administration officials. This move comes as the White House is working on a new peace plan, which is not what I would call it, aimed at bringing an end to Russia's war in Ukraine, that is being largely coordinated by Trump and Steve Witkoff. And Kirill Dmitriev, who you can go look him up in the Mueller report. He's a fun fellow, an advisor to Putin. That plan calls for major concessions by Kyiv and Zelensky, including ceding territory to Russia and abandoning certain weaponry. It's not a peace plan. It's a surrender plan.
That's just about to say, it sounds like just surrender. Hey, y'all stop. Don't get me started.
I know.
Kellogg was initially named special envoy for Ukraine and Russia during Trump's presidential transition, but his role shrunk as Witkoff, a real estate developer turned diplomat, emerged as, isn't that crazy? Go from real estate, I'm a diplomat now. So as his real estate developer turned diplomat emerged as the president's chief interlocutor with Putin and his advisors, Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner's always involved in some shady foreign stuff going on.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Sorry for the swearing on the public episode.
Jared Kushner have also helped direct U.S.-led negotiations, bringing about a fragile truce in the Israel-Hamas war.
I wouldn't even call it a fragile truce.
I just about to say,
obliterated.
Obliterated, right?
Yeah, his peace plans are like, let us come in, steal your oils and minerals, and fuck the good guys. That's their peace plan for whatever peace plan. Wait until we see the Venezuela peace plan after we attack them. Just give us all your oil. It'll be fine. And then there'll be peace once again. Kellogg is a retired Army Lieutenant General who's long been in Trump's orbit. He served as National Security Advisor to Mike Pence. He was Chief of Staff of the National Security Council. He stepped in as acting National Security Advisor for Trump when his first top national security aide, Mike Flynn, resigned. And why did he resign? Because he's a liar. That's why. Kellogg also featured in multiple Trump investigations in his first term. He was among the administration officials who listened in on that perfect phone call in July of 2019 between Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Trump blackmailed him. He said, open investigations into Biden and Hunter, and I'll send you weapons.
Quid pro quo. The call, which Kellogg would later say did not raise any concerns on his end, unbelievable, of course you didn't, was at the center of the first two House impeachment cases against Trump, who was acquitted by the Senate in both impeachment trials on January 6, 2021, hours before pro-Trump rioters attacked me and my co-workers on January 6. Kellogg, who was then Pence's national security advisor, listened in on a heated call in which Trump told his vice president to object to or delay the certification in Congress of Biden's victory. Kellogg later told House investigators that he recalled Trump saying to Pence words to the effect of, "You're not tough enough to make the call."
He actually called him a pussy.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's not what he said.
That's a very former Army general way of saying that. That's on the record. Well, all right. So Kellogg's leaving right around the time Marjorie Taylor Greene's leaving. Also from Politico, the acting head of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has resigned. That's according to sources. Just a few hours after the FEMA leader denied reports in an interview with Politico. I'm not resigning, and then he resigned. Starting December 1st, that's this coming, Monday, FEMA Chief of Staff Karen Evans is going to assume the role of acting administrator. DHS statements indicate that Richardson also is leaving his job as head of the department's Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction office, which Trump has sought to close. Richardson, who has led FEMA on an interim basis since May, I didn't think you could have an interim appointment that long, but I guess it's 4 months, told E&E News on Monday morning, "I have no idea what you're talking about," when they asked if he was resigning. 3 hours later, E&E News confirmed he resigned, which was first reported by the Washington Post.
Richardson's imminent departure has been rumored for 2 weeks. Former FEMA officials told Politico and E&E News that Richardson would leave by the end of the Atlantic hurricane season on December 1st. It was unclear whether Richardson has relinquished his position or given 2 weeks' notice.
How can he know he's going to leave at the end of hurricane season when he didn't know that there was a hurricane season?
My God.
Remember who said that?
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, man. Richardson has been the agency's senior official since taking over for Cameron Hamilton, whom Homeland Security Kristi Noem fired.
Yeah, she fired. Not like the way she fired her puppy.
Yeah.
Different. My goodness. All right. Well, again, like I said, we have tons of people defecting now. There's going to be more. We've got talked about this at the top of the show. Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning a year early from her job. And I got to wonder, she's worth $25 million now. Mm-hmm. She's been in Congress for 5 years. She's going to retire as soon as her pension vests. You have to be a Congress member for 5 years for your pension to vest. But that pension is peanuts compared to the $25 million she's made the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
And if you do the math with, I realize it's Arabic numerals and it's hard to, understand. But 25 million divided by 5 years is $5 million a year. If she stayed, she doesn't have to run again to stay the rest of her term.
Yeah.
If she stayed, she could grift another $5 million on inside stock trades and kickbacks.
Isn't that crazy?
But so what? And I can't figure out yet why she's leaving for real, because I don't believe what she says. But it has to be worth more than $5 million to her, or she'd just finish out the rest of her term.
You think so?
I can't figure it out. She's leaving $5 million on the table, leaving a year early.
That's why I believe that it merely may be something. Listen, I don't believe that she is changing her spots one bit. No, she is who she is, period. Full stop. I do believe, however, that once, Allison, once these threats come to your front door, that shit is scary and it's real, and it takes people with balls excuse the term, to stand up. It's not easy. So
that's what Jasmine Crockett said. She's like, "You've been on the wrong side of Trump for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Try being in my shoes."
Maybe she can't. The age, like I said, it's not easy. And
no,
who the hell would want to endure this? I mean, like I said, she's already
she loses
rich.
her Capitol Police protection, but
if you got $25 million in the bank, you can afford protection. I don't
But
know,
like,
man.
do you think the threats are going to stop just because she's no longer in Congress? Like they'll just magically go away?
Well,
I don't know,
maybe.
man. I don't know. Maybe
I
that's
don't
it.
know. I don't know. I just know that the thought and the threats that you get weekly, daily,
Yeah, but she's brave
hourly.
enough to stick around until her pension vests.
Well, yeah, true. Well, I mean, because that's a lifeline right there. You like, all right, I'm always going to make sure can afford to pay my bills for the rest of my life. Like,
Nobody's going to murder me over the holidays. It'll be
yeah.
fine.
By the way, y'all go Google Marjorie Taylor Greene's turkey from last Thanksgiving. I still remember it. It's
Oh,
giving me
God,
nightmares.
yes. Oh,
It was the most bland, unseasoned thing I've ever seen. It looked like it was boiled. Like
she might as well put raisins on it.
it was horrible. Go Google it right now. But you're Googling now. You're welcome. Yeah, it's really that.
It reminds me of Better Off Dead, a movie from the 80s, where she's like,
Oh,
you said you
man.
didn't like all the fat from fried bacon, so I boiled it.
Oh, my God. That's funny.
But yeah, Punchbowl News is like I said at the top of the show. There are other people, high profile resignations that might be coming soon. We could actually get control of the House before we blow it out of the water in the
Before we blow it out of the
midterms.
water. And the writing's on the wall. Everybody sees it coming. Well, excuse me,
Yeah.
people in Congress see it coming. I, however, do not. Now, listen, Republicans are doing the shooting in the foot of themselves a lot. But Democrats, you cannot. I don't want to win as a Democrat because I'm viewed as the lesser of two evils. I hate that notion because it's clear that what one side wants best for people, one side wants best for billionaires, millionaires, and trillionaires. So,
yeah. This is your year to run progressive candidates. This is the year to run progressive candidates. This is the year to win in otherwise red districts. If there was ever a chance to win Tennessee's 7th on December 2nd, for example, or even Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, which is super, 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 super red. If there was ever a chance to flip those seats, it's this year. And, my philosophy, and you don't have to share my philosophy, valued listeners, but my philosophy is I fight for my progressive candidates. And if my progressive candidate doesn't win and it's a more centrist candidate that wins as a Democrat, I still vote for them.
Period.
I still vote for that less progressive candidate because the only alternative is a Republican. There's we don't have we have a two-party system and we can't fix that right now. And we just got to, put the fire out and then we can rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic after that. And plus, a lot of times you elect a centrist Democrat and they move to the left. We had Obama do that on marriage equality. We had Joe Biden do that on forgiveness of student debt and climate change. And, that a lot of progressive policies came out of that. It's way easier to push a Democrat, a centrist Democrat to the left than it is to push a Republican anywhere. So anyway, that's how I roll. I was a Bernie person and then I was all behind Hillary when Bernie didn't win the nomination. I was a Warren Democrat in 2020 and then I was all behind Biden when Warren didn't win the nomination. That's how I roll. So I think that this is the year to back your progressive candidates in these primaries. That's what primaries are for. The DNC has promised to stay out of these elections. Now, not so for the DCCC and the DSCC, but the DNC is staying out of this. And so you have a perfect storm to get the candidates you want. And I hope everybody recognizes that we won't get rid of the members of our party that we don't want anymore in one election cycle. It's going to take a few. It's a long game. And anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, you're right, though. You are 100% right. We are our biggest enemies sometimes when we need to realize who actually is the person, the bad guy trying to take away all of our rights. And it's usually Republicans. So always keep that in mind when y'all go into the polls.
Oh, always, always. But this is the year if you want to do it. Run for something. All right. We got one more story. It's the crazy Hunter Biden Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne story. You don't want to miss this.
Crazy story.
Because Hunter Biden is asking for a pretty large amount of money in damages. And so we'll get to that right after this last break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
right, y'all. All right, this is the wild story. Y'all remember this. We've been talking about this for a while. But we got an update on the story of Hunter Biden and former Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne. You'll recall that we reported a story from Courthouse News that said a federal judge ordered former Overstock.com CEO and adamant 2020 election denier Patrick Byrne in default after he stopped defending himself in the defamation lawsuit brought by Hunter Biden that was headed to trial next week.
Yep. U.S. District Judge Stephen Wilson, as we said, ordered Byrne in default at the request of Biden's attorneys and vacated the October 14th trial date. We talked about that. The order opened the door for a default judgment against the Florida-based millionaire, whom Hunter Biden sued over repeated claims that Biden sought an $800 million bribe from Iran in exchange for the thaw of $8 billion in Iranian funds frozen in a South Korean bank account by his dad, President Joe Biden. And this past week, Hunter Biden filed for the default judgment because the judge previously held him in default. Hunter Biden is now like, great. Here's what I want.
All right, check this out. Now, in his motion, Hunter Biden writes, after months of delay and multiple pretrial conferences, jury selection and trial of this case was set to begin on July 29, 2025. Prospective jurors were summoned from their homes and jobs and assembled in the courthouse. The presiding judge and the chambers and courtroom staff were present in the courtroom. Plaintiff and his lawyers were present in the courtroom, but Byrne and his counsel, since nearly the commencement of this action, Michael Murphy, were not present. Neither was Peter Tickton, whose pro hoc vice application had been approved the previous week. What the hell is pro hoc vice?
Latin for when a lawyer steps in and represents, takes over.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So like if my lawyer here is based in San Diego, California, but if I want to sue somebody in Arizona, we got to have somebody who's got a license in Arizona appear on our behalf pro hoc vice. They don't really do anything, just kind of open the door for my lawyer to come in who doesn't have a license there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Instead, 3 new lawyers appeared for Patrick Byrne for the first time that day, only one of whom was admitted to the bar of this court. Byrne's new lead attorney, Stephanie Lambert, had been terminated from a case representing Byrne in a different federal lawsuit because of gross misconduct and had been recently denied pro hoc vice admission in the Middle District of Florida in another defamation case against Mr. Byrne because of that misconduct. She's also under felony indictment in Michigan, charged with computer crimes related to election tabulators, and is free from custody on a secured cash bond. After the plaintiff brought these issues to the court's attention, it denied her motion for admission pro hoc vice. Byrne's remaining attorneys then told the court, it has informed us that we're not authorized to represent him. That's the court noted. This is really like a 3-ring circus, the judge said.
This is insane. At that point, plaintiff noted Byrne had not appeared for trial, either in person or through counsel. How did he not appear? He just didn't show up, and asked that he be placed in default. The court ordered a recess to reconsider the matter. It declined to order a default, instead ordering Byrne to provide an email address for electronic service or a physical address for mail or overnight delivery of service of documents, and ordering discovery into Byrne's financial condition. Byrne, however, never provided an address for service, never retained new counsel, and refused to respond to discovery. This is crazy, y'all. If y'all are having a hard time keeping up, stay with me. We're getting to the point of it, but all in violation of this court's various orders. When the plaintiff moved to enforce the court's orders, the court ordered Byrne to appear personally at a hearing on August 18th, 2025. Guess what? He did not appear or otherwise respond to the order. The plaintiff renewed his motion for entry of default, which the court granted.
Yeah, so there's all these steps you have to take if the person that you're suing just stops showing up and doesn't have a lawyer and won't respond to anything and won't give you an address so you could serve him papers and won't provide discovery. You got to go through all of these steps, trying to serve him physically, trying to serve him by email.
It's trying to serve him in his comments on social media.
Comments on social media. Sometimes they let you do that. Sometimes they don't. But you have to go through this whole process of, due process to basically dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Like, we've done everything, Your Honor. Can he be in default now? Judge finally said yes. So plaintiff now seeks a default judgment against Byrne for nominal damages plus punitive damages of $33.33 million. Byrne accuses the plaintiff of conduct more reprehensible than stuffing ballot boxes. Byrne is a recidivist with a history of malicious defamation, and Byrne has far more wealth and the ability to pay a judgment than Mr. Giuliani.
Ooh, Rudy.
Rudy. However, because the plaintiff was not as vulnerable to physical threats as the plaintiffs in Freeman, he requests an award of only 44% of those punitive damages. That's how he calculated this. Freeman and Moss, this is 44% of their punitive damages because Hunter Biden didn't suffer the same that Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss did. Mirroring what would be the reduction in compensatory damages in Freeman if damages for emotional harm or physical threats were removed. Because Byrne has refused to participate in court-ordered discovery regarding his financial condition, he is estopped from objecting to any punitive damages award based on lack of evidence of his net worth. So what he's saying there is, because he won't answer our questions and turn over his bank accounts and say what he's worth, he's not allowed. He's prohibited. He's estopped from objecting to punitive damage amounts.
Yeah. Okay. And for the foregoing reasons, the court should enter a default judgment against defendant Patrick M. Byrne in the amount of $1 in nominal damages and $33.33 million in punitive damages.
Yeah. And normally when you calculate punitive damages, usually the defendant will come in and show their bank records and say, I only have $7, or I'm indigent, or I can't afford that. And we see this from InfoWars guy.
Alex Jones.
That's a good sign that I could just barely remember his name.
That's a good thing, AG.
Falls into obscurity in the dustbin of BS history. Or Rudy Giuliani being like, all I got is my Joe DiMaggio jersey. I am out of money. I already owe my lawyers $2 million. But they were hiding some assets, but they at least responded and pretended that they didn't have any money, that Byrne didn't even say anything. So you can't take into account, and the judge doesn't have to take into account how much money he does or doesn't have. You can just enter this award. So, because if Patrick Byrne had an objection to the size of this award, he'd have a lawyer and he'd be filing motions, but he's just completely fallen off the map in this case. So we will keep you posted on what the judge does here. I think it's interesting that his lawyers, that Hunter Biden's lawyers says, look, 44% of what Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss got from Giuliani. Because, they suffered worse because of that defamation than what Mr. Biden has suffered here. And so that's how they ended up calculating the $33.33 million and $1 in nominative damages. I thought
the $33.33 million was because it's easy math to do when you talk about paying your lawyers, because lawyers, you get a third or whatever the lawyer fees are. So I'm like, here, take your $11.11 million and I'll take my $22.22 million. Man,
could be. Some lawyers, some high-powered attorneys ask for 40% in these civil proceedings, some even more.
But I hope Hunter Biden gets every penny, because F that guy.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to watch if Patrick Byrne's trying to hide, if he's like on the lam hiding in his plantation in a fireplace flue somewhere, how they're going to get this money out of him. So that'll be interesting, and we'll keep you posted on all of it. All right, everybody. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to everybody who came out to Remove the Regime rally this weekend. Thanks for listening to Harry Dunn's Pores and Perspectives. There's a new episode out today with Fred Gutenberg, who is going to address Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, she's had a lot to say about the Parkland students. She even went after and harassed David Hogg on the sidewalk. And I'm with you. I don't think a leopard's going to change, especially the leopards eating face party isn't going to change their spots. So I look forward to that interview as well. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, my friend?
No, I just, I love the holidays.
Me
This is
too.
the start of the holiday season. A lot of people would say, it's not much to celebrate and blah, blah, blah. But that's why I take the holidays so, I hold them close to me because the world's a shit show and everything's on fire right now. So any moment where I get an opportunity to be with loved ones or people that I care about and obviously eat good food and just have a feel good moment, even if it's just for a day or a week or whatever, I am going to relish in it. And I absolutely love Christmas. I love things. I've already started playing Christmas music. I know people are probably like, geez, Harry, relax. You got wait a week. Like, no. But just any love or good feelings that you all feel, embrace it, run with it, because we deserve nice things. And that includes nice feelings too.
Yeah, I abandoned the old American way of celebrating Thanksgiving a long time ago because of what we did to Indigenous people. For
Yeah.
me, it's celebrating what I am grateful for, and what I'm most grateful for is this community, all of you, my community, my chosen family. I'm grateful
They're
for you,
amazing, aren't
Harry.
they? What our community? We're amazing. Our
It
listeners are the
truly
best,
is.
AG.
Truly is. And if you were at that regime, at the Remove the Regime rally, let us know. Send us a note. And we really appreciate you being here. Again, I'm super grateful for this entire community. It's overwhelming how amazing it is. And it's one of the best forms of resistance, forming community against this particular regime. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week. And I think we might be able to pull off some kind of a bonus episode. I'm not sure. You'll get something for patrons.
You'll get something from it.
But we are not having. Oh no, we are actually having a patron happy hour Zoom call this Friday, and we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be grateful in person to anybody who's available to show up. I realize that you probably are all busy, but I'll be sitting around on Friday eating leftovers and hopefully talking to y'all.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. We'll see you then. I'm Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thanks, y'all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.